children. And because this whole earth is ours, we must be intimate magic. We must be intimate magic when obituaries read like a roll call of our neighborhoods. It is not enough to mention names, to know locations of past iniquities, of present torture when we are called to remove our feet from cacophony's piss, to dance away every lie that refrains movement. We have to imagine. 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 Imagine a universe. Imagine a world. Imagine a country, a state, a neighborhood, a city, a block, a house, a room. Imagine your body, your mind, your toes, your ankles, your spirit, everything. Imagine it free. Imagine trees that have never known lynching. Imagine all of it without the bitterness. Now imagine that everything we give our energy to is prayer, and that prayer without works is dead, and that the space to make a world, a better world, is right here in our children's brains, and all they need is us. All they need is us to put in the work, to invite them to imagine not dodging bullets, to imagine not succumbing to drugs or homelessness or hatred. Now let's do some revisioning. Imagine dancing to remixes of old favorites. Imagine celebrating the births, the deaths, the in-between time, and making love and planting love and growing love. You can't be it if you can't see it, some say. So imagine what love for our community looks like when it's the next Lewis Latimer who invented the filament for the light bulb, or the next Franklin Jane Diaz or Mae Jemison. Imagine when love for our community looks like Marshall Walter Major Taylor, who went from bike mechanic to speed racer, pedaling past prejudice, bulldozing through racism. This Worcester whirlwind set world records. Or James West, who invented technology from contemporary microphones that are now found in baby monitors and hearing aids, among other things. Can you hear me now? Cesar Latte, who researched cosmic rays. Otis Boynton, who developed the control unit for the pacemaker. Lila Ahern, infrastructure for harbor cleanup. Mark Dean, who built a tractor from scratch and said there are no limits, only obstacles. Shirley Jackson, caller ID and call waiting. What are we waiting for? The time is now. They were all children once with space and time to make new worlds possible. So in order to move forward, we have to look back and we have to imagine. Imagine us unhinged. Imagine us unframed. Imagine us. Imagine us free. Imagine laughter reverberating, echoing off laughter, echoing off more laughter. Imagine us free, and imagine a universe. Imagine your body as the center of the universe, the center of everything, and think how you decorate this place you call home. Imagine us free to roam in our own skins, to go where we need to go, to breathe free and unhinged. Imagine us free. Imagine you walk down the block and you can get home. Imagine you walk through your imagination and it's unfettered. Imagine yourself. Imagine yourself free and think how you decorate. Think how you decorate. Think how you decorate this place you call home. And this is us. This is us unhinged. This is us frameless. This is us wild and timeless. Imagine us free. Imagine this new cohort of world makers, these children. And I ask you, what shall we do to prepare for their magic? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marisa Meldonian. I am co-vice chair of the Board of Trustees. On behalf of the board, welcome to this special event to celebrate and recognize the installation of Dr. Aisha Francis as president of the Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology, to kick off our 114th commencement weekend. Knowing that this school, in fact, this entire city, is built on originally indigenous land, I would like to make an acknowledgement. The trustees, faculty, and staff of Benjamin Franklin Cummings acknowledge that the territory on which this institution stands is that of the Wampanoag and the Massachusetts people. By our very namesake, Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology is rooted in the history of the city and the country, but we also need to honor and respect the history and continued presence of the Native and Indigenous community members who make up Eastern Massachusetts and the surrounding region. This statement is one small step in acknowledging the history that brought us to reside on the land and to help us seek understanding of our place within that history. Today, Boston remains home to Indigenous peoples, including the Mashpee Wampanoag and the Wampanoag tribe of Gayhead. About a year ago, the Institute was fortunate to see Dr. Francis become president and CEO of this historic college. And she made history herself by being the first woman and the first woman of color to head the Institute. When the trustees had the task of finding a new president of the college, the choice was clear and right before our eyes. Dr. Francis was serving as chief of staff, and the trustees saw firsthand her natural leadership skills, her passion for the institution's mission, and her care for and connection to our students. Over the last year, the trustees, faculty, staff, and students saw Dr. Francis take charge and take off on building a brighter future for the Institute. With the hard work of the tremendous faculty and staff and the resiliency and grit of our students and her own natural skill, Dr. Francis led the Institute through the toughest days of COVID while fully maintaining the highest levels of safety in the Institute's academic mission. Today, she is driving the process of building our new campus in Roxbury. A campus that will allow the college to take its mission to a whole new level in a cutting-edge space next to the future Nubian Square Life Science Training Center and in the heart of a community that many of our students call home. This is just some of what she has done since becoming president and CEO last July. And today, with pride and with admiration, we officially installed Dr. Aisha Francis as president of this great and important institution. And we're delighted to have our partner, Brookline Bank, sponsoring this historic moment, not only for our school, but for the entire city and beyond. Thank you, President Fess, and we're excited to hear from you in just a few moments. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the Reverend Dr. Nancy Taylor, the Senior Minister of the Old South Church for the Invocation. And I would like to note that Benjamin Franklin was baptized in the original Old South Church congregation.
Will you pray with me? God of Muslims, Christians, and shamans, God of Buddhist and Jesuit, of Jew and of Hindu, God of citizen, resident, and immigrant, God of the South End and of Benjamin Franklin, God of Nubian Square and our plan to move there, God larger, higher, deeper than we can fathom, designer of cosmos and atom. God, bend low, enter this hall, come near now. So near to each of us as to oil the hinges of our heart's doors, that they may swing gently and easily to welcome your coming. Bless, O God, this high occasion, this installation of a new leader for an old school. Bless this new leader for this new day. Bless the hope this ceremony portends, the bright future we intend. Bless the heft and weight of medallion and oath, tokens of promise and troth. Bless this night's formality, the bestowal of authority. Bless Dr. Aisha Francis as she advances the school's mission, its bold vision, our efforts marshaled for student success and career readiness. So God of circuitry, opticianry, and practical electricity, God of plastics and steel and the automobile, God of biology and technology, of machinist and specialist, God of all that we are and all that we do, of what we dare dream and the hopes we pursue, bless and hallow this evening ceremony. Let it be our testimony to tomorrow. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Taylor. I would now like to introduce a great partner to Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology, Daryl Fess, the President and CEO of Brookline Bank.
Thank you, Marisa. Brookline Bank really prides itself on being a local bank, and we make investments that create long-lasting opportunities for the people in the communities that we serve. That is why we support the Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology. We know this is a school that transforms people's lives, and it transforms them through giving them career-ready skills. I've had the privilege of getting to know Dr. Francis over the past few years, and I can say without reservation that her passion to make the Institute's mission come alive and her care for each of the students' well-being, it's clear to everybody that sees her in action. The Institute's also very fortunate to have Dr. Francis as a leader who not only attends to the day-to-day of the business, but also she thinks strategically and sees into the future to ensure that the Institute is resilient and stays strong for students today and well into the future. Brookline Bank is proud of the educational partnership we'd had with the Benjamin Franklin Cummings, in which we provide financial literacy training to students. We understand that making the right financial decisions early in life is a way to navigate things like salary and savings is really important for young adults who are preparing for their professional futures. We also know there are future entrepreneurs among these college graduates who will be enjoying prosperity while making contributions to their communities. The Institute, under the able guidance of Dr. Francis, will continue preparing young people, combining technical skills and life skills to bring 360-degree learning experience. Brookline Bank is so happy to see Dr. Francis installed as the 13th president of the Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology, and we look forward to seeing what our partnership brings in the future. Congratulations, Dr. Francis.
To say that Bill and Joyce are generous benefactors of Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology would be an understatement. Their gift of $12.5 million to the Institute brings a brighter future to this college and, most importantly, the students. Benjamin Franklin believed in the power of teaching people skills so that they will use them to make better life while contributing to society. He had so much faith in future learners that he dedicated half of his estate to Boston to build what is now the Institute. Now, like Benjamin Franklin, Bill and Joyce Cummings are also investing in our students to help them become self-sufficient, enterprising, and good members of society. This shared hope and faith in our students is now memorialized by having the names of these generous benefactors come together as we now call this the Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology. We are delighted to have the founder of Cummings Properties and the co-founder of the Cummings Foundation himself with us here tonight. Please welcome to the podium, Bill Cummings.
Thank you. Thank you. It really is such an honor for me to be here with all of you on this special day for the Institute. Lest we not be confused by the program book, until a very, very short time ago, before she was exposed to COVID, Joyce Variotis was your speaker tonight, and Joyce Cummings would have been here with me, co-founder of the Institute. Instead, Joyce Variotis is watching this event with the rest of the foundation, probably from our offices at West Cummings Park in Woburn. And Joyce Cummings, I suspect, is out of bed, but doing fine at home. So I'm sorry we can't both be here. Certainly would like to do it. All of us at Cummings Foundation know and understand the transformative power of Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute. And we know that under Dr. Francis, this institute is headed for marvelous things to come. The recent gift, the $12.5 million that you've heard reference to, reflects most of our just intense desire to support organizations and institutions that are using different and dynamic approaches to education and as well workforce development. Workforce development is a very extraordinarily important thing right now, with such shortages in the labor market. I hope we will be able to help create many new prosperity pathways to prosperity for all of the people who have historically lacked fair access to higher education and so many opportunities that education presents for all of us. Technology changing as rapidly as it is today can cause people to be left behind because they simply don't have the latest skills. Students graduating from Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute will have the latest skills. Your collective focus, the Institute's collective focus on new ideas like clean tech, life sciences, cybersecurity, and other technical areas is so vitally important. Students here will always be career ready and participating in the current job market like we have today. The Cummings Pledge, we hope, will ensure that the Institute is preparing students no matter the changes in the workforce needs so that students are never left behind. Because the trustees of the foundation and the staff have so much confidence in Dr. Francis, the process in awarding the grant was extraordinarily strange. The first installment was $2.5 million, which was delivered on New Year's Eve. We had first talked to Dr. Francis how many days before? Maybe she first heard of us probably 2 weeks, and we actually talked in about a week and a half before that we first met in person. When the document was put together, it was less than 2.5 pages. I'm not sure it was 2 pages even. It was not one of these big, thick anything. We formalize it a little bit more later on, but still not a whole lot, for sure. The very best use of these funds, we don't need an abundance of paperwork. The funds and the use that you make of them will ensure what happens in future years. Okay? We're extremely confident that this commitment is something that the Institute will use to further impact and create equity for communities that are Boston's greatest untapped resources for economic growth. On behalf of Joyce Cummings and Joyce Mariotis and the entire Cummings Foundation team, thank you very much, and congratulations to you, Dr. Francis. Thank you for having us here today.
Well, that's a tough act to follow. Good evening. I'm Sally Heckel, and I'm the Director of Learning at the Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology. I first met Dr. Francis in 2018 when she started as the Chief of Staff at the Institute. She had come to a Student Services Department meeting to learn more about us and to share her vision for the Institute. I have to be honest with you, I cried as I listened to her hopes for the college. I was moved by Dr. Francis's caring and passion, not only for the Institute and our students, but because she talked about widening the Institute's community to include workforce development experts, community-based organizations, policymakers, and others who could help us advance our mission. She said the community and the city of Boston needed to know more about what we do to provide young people with career-ready skills and put them on the path to opportunity and prosperity. Now, I've been at the college for more than 30 years. I know, I don't look it. And I had never heard someone speak about us that way. I thought to myself, she gets us. She knows what we do, why we're here, and what we can contribute to the broader community. This is the person who will lead the Institute into a new era. And let me be clear, Dr. Francis didn't just talk, she took action. Dr. Francis has created an office, she created an office to develop strategic partnerships that introduced the value of the college's programs and skills training to agencies and employers who were surprised to learn what they didn't know about us. This led to our Division of Professional and Continuing Studies Department. Dr. Francis reshaped our Board of Trustees to include visionary leaders who represent the future of the areas of workforce and who believe in the mission of this institution, its faculty, and its students. And she has connected the college to the greater Boston community to raise our profile in the eyes of people and organizations that can help us advance our mission while benefiting from our work, something our institution has deserved for a very long time. It's no secret that the Institute has had a tumultuous financial history. Thankfully, Dr. Francis is already turning around our financial situation by building a more resilient institution that will benefit students and the greater Boston community far into the future. Her ambitious $30 million fundraising campaign has recently been upgraded to $60 million. Her work with the Cummings Foundation secured the generous $12.5 million grant. This gift from Bill and Joyce Cummings is the first of its kind since Andrew Carnegie, back in 1904, matched the funds of the Franklin Foundation that held the original gift from Benjamin Franklin himself. The reason why Dr. Francis will succeed in taking the college into a new era is because she is not afraid of change. She understands that change is vital, and she pushes us all to share her courage and to embrace change ourselves. This college has served Greater Boston for 114 years and traces its lineage to Benjamin Franklin. But we cannot stay in the past or stand still if we are going to serve our students. I can tell you that under President Francis's leadership, we will never be still. We will always be moving forward and doing so at the speed of the innovation taking place in our world. Our students will be trained in the latest technology and skills, including green and clean tech, biotech, robotics, health informatics, and some things we don't even know about today. Our students will never be left behind. Dr. Francis, on behalf of the faculty, staff, and students at the Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology, I want to thank you for all that you are doing for the Institute and its future. I continue to be moved by your deep connection to the college's mission as the daughter of an immigrant. And I am honored to be a part of this community under your leadership, to work for you and with you as you lead the college into a modern new era, while advancing our timeless mission of preparing graduates for work, lifelong learning, and citizenship. We in the BFCIT community have never been more optimistic about the future of this institution and the future of our graduates. Thank you, President Francis, and congratulations. And now it is my pleasure to introduce a thriving and successful alumnus of the school, whose personal mission, I believe, is to give back to those who have supported him. This young man earned both Associate and Bachelor of Science degrees in Mechanical Engineering Technology, and now serves on the Institute's Electronic Technology Industrial Advisory Board and our Industry Partnership Committee. From the class of 2019, please welcome Regis Lino Kelly.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dr. Francis. Saying Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology is a place where dreams can come true may sound corny, but it is possible because I am living proof. I came to America at the age of 5 from Honduras, not speaking English and feeling the chilly temperatures of Boston and some of its people. However, my future became clear to me at the movies when my cousin and I saw Iron Man. I was fascinated by how Tony Stark, Iron Man's alter ego, who was able to design and build fascinating inventions. I asked my cousin, how was he able to do that? He said, Tony Stark is an engineer. I knew since that day that I would become an engineer. I went to Boston Community Leadership Academy and kept my focus on being an engineer. I then attended the Institute and received my associate's and bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. Every day I spent in this building was thrilling to me. I was finally learning engineering and having hands-on experiences that allowed me to see things in my mind and bring them to life by designing and building them just like Tony Stark. While I didn't become a superhero, I did become someone with an excellent career path because of Benjamin Franklin. After graduating, I went on to work at 3M, and now I currently work at Shark Ninja, where I work today as a test engineer. I know Dr. Francis didn't study engineering, but she has the mind of one. She knows what is needed, visualizes a solution, creates a plan, and builds the best solution and puts the vision into action. As a member of the college's Industrial Advisory Board, I have seen Dr. Francis as she's made throughout the years, and she's brought financial stability to the Institute, updating the curriculum, making it more in line with the current needs of the workforce. She's building a stronger staff, and she's guiding the Institute to its bright future in Nubian Square. I am very happy to see Dr. Francis formally installed as president of the college, because I know through her leadership, there will be many more people with stories of opportunity and personal fulfillment far into the future. Benjamin Franklin's Cummins Institute of Technology is more than a college. It's a supportive community that works together to make sure everyone succeeds. Under Dr. Francis' leadership, it will become an even stronger community, and it will continue to be a place where dreams can come true. Thank you for your leadership, and congratulations, Dr. Francis.
Thank you, Regis. Due to our histories being entwined in the Institute's ability to contribute to Boston's economic development, the City of Boston has long been a close partner and a strong supporter of the college. Knowing this, I would like now to introduce Mayor Wu's representative to the Institute's Board of Trustees, Midori Morikawa.
Thank you, Marisa. And good evening, everyone. Marisa is correct in saying that City of Boston and the Institute are partners in working to improve the lives of students, and we are bonded by history. It started, as you heard earlier, with Benjamin Franklin leaving part of his estate to Boston to develop a place where people create their future and contribute to the success of the city through learning career-ready skills. I think Benjamin Franklin will be proud of Boston and the college today, what has been accomplished by working together. The college provides many Boston public students with a clear pathway to opportunity, especially those students who have a passion for STEM field. That's why the college is part of the city's tuition-free community college initiative, which represents the investment Boston is making in our young people, our economy, and our future. The city and our business and institutional community benefit in many ways by having the college here to produce many skilled and thoughtful citizens who use what they learned here and on the job to keep people safe, businesses operating, our buildings green, and Boston moving forward. Mayor Wu and the Economic Opportunity Inclusion Cabinet team, and I see my chief here in the audience, Jugun Ito, at City Hall are very happy to have Dr. Francis as a partner in creating pathways to college for Boston public school students who want to pursue a trade or other STEM-based career-ready skills training. Recently, we saw her innovative leadership when she invited the entire graduating class of the Dearborn STEM Academy to attend without going through the application process, which removes a barrier that is oftentimes deterring students from attending college in the first place. It's obvious when you know Dr. Francis that she truly cares about each student who is working hard to learn, often while overcoming challenges and obstacles, and then graduate into a career that will help them significantly increase their lifelong income. The students, faculty, staff, and trustees of the Institute, of which I'm a proud member, are all fortunate to have Dr. Francis leading it. And Mayor Wu is happy to have you as a partner in her work for the people of Boston. Dr. Francis, on behalf of Mayor Wu and the City of Boston, thank you for your leadership of Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology, and congratulations on your installment tonight.
Broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you. We're gonna walk it out and move mountains. We're gonna walk it out and and I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, high like the waves, and I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. When the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains, bring it to its feet and move mountains, and we'll rise up, rise like the day. We'll rise up, rise unafraid. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you,
Thank you so much, Cherie. If we were at church, I can tell you the saints would be shouting in the aisles about now. Thank you so much to the trustees, the faculty and staff, the students at this amazing Ben Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology, to the family, friends of Aisha and others who are here today, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you. I have the privilege of being one of Aisha's co-pastors, and I am Gloria White Hammond, and my husband is Reverend Dr. Ray Hammond, and it is indeed a privilege to pastor Aisha and her family, and so my remarks are from the perspective of a pastor, but I promise you I won't preach like a preacher. I met Aisha when she first came to Boston almost 20 years ago or so. She was from Nashville, and she was working at Boston Medical Center, and she realized what many of us have known for a long time. When it comes to Boston's social scene, it's a hard nut to crack. And so she did what her mama and her grandmama told her to do. She came to church. We met at a favorite little restaurant, Flower, on Washington Street in the South End when I was working at the South End Community Health Center, and I was immediately impressed with Aisha. I was certainly impressed with her because of her intellect. That PhD in English at Vanderbilt University was very impressive. But I've learned a long time ago the wisdom of what Stephen Jay Gould said in his landmark work, The Mismeasure of Man, which chronicled the long history of pseudoscience devoted to measuring intellectual ability as the sole criteria for determining the worth of human beings. Dr. Gould ultimately reminded us that whenever we try to measure human beings in a single dimension, we inevitably mismeasured them. That was certainly true for Aisha. I came to appreciate that Aisha, more than anything, is what I call an imaginator. She's not only good at imagining possibilities for herself, she's also good at imagining possibilities for others. As we talked, she shared that one of the big reasons that she had successfully completed her PhD was because her advisor was a woman, Dr. Cecilia Tichy. Dr. Tichy, I know her. Dr. Tichy was my English teacher in the first semester of my freshman year at Boston University over 50 years ago. And I had just come from a class where an instructor, having received my first paper ever at Boston University, gave it back to me, said that he wouldn't grade it, but it was the worst paper in the class of several hundred students. I was broken because I had made my way to Boston University as the valedictorian of the class. What had they done to me? Dr. Tichy took my first paper and said to me, Gloria, you can write. And assured by Dr. Tichy's words, I took that same paper, rewrote it, reconstructed it, and turned it in to the next assignment. And the instructor called me down at the end of the class and said, this is the best paper in the class. I have seen Aisha be to people in our congregation in this community over and over again what Dr. Tichy was to me. I've seen her do that among a circle of women in particular. Just a sister away, a group of generous-minded, incredibly gifted, determined young women, I think perhaps 50 in number, who began at Bethel some 15 years ago and are now all over the world doing amazing things. If you're in just a sister away, won't you just go ahead and stand up? I want people to see you. Yeah. PhD in math. An amazing financier. Go ahead, Regine. Another PhD at Boston College, just doing amazing work all around the country, inspired by this woman as an imaginator. And I've seen her do that with other individuals as well. I've seen her do that with her family and so many friends who are gathered here today. And you're so right, Letta. What you have here is a visionary. I often think about one of my favorite illustrations, which is the story of the building of St. Paul's Cathedral in England. It took over 50 years to build that building. And the story is told of a reporter who interviewed 3 individuals who were brick masons for St. Paul's Cathedral. The 3 were standing together, and he went up to them and asked each of them the same question: "What are you doing?" The first individual looked annoyed because what he was doing was certainly apparent. He was taking bricks, putting mortar on top, putting the next brick on top. He said, "I'm laying bricks." It wasn't that deep. He then went to the second person and asked, "And what are you doing?" And the second person still seemed somewhat confused, but looked at what was immediately in front of him and said, "I'm building walls." And then he went to the third person, who put down his equipment and looked upward as though he could see the finished product, then looked at him and smiled and said, "I'm building a cathedral." I am persuaded that so many people in today's world are focused on laying bricks and building walls that divide and separate, building higher and higher and wider and wider. Ben Franklin Cummings Institute has a cathedral builder in your midst. You're so right, Sally. This institution has already faced some significant challenges, and you're here. And the reality is that there are yet more challenges ahead of you. That's for real. But I want to encourage you to see yourselves not simply as training up individuals who will lay bricks. The next investor who comes, telling them that they're not investing only in people who will fulfill trades. They're investing in people who are trained and equipped with the vision, with the resources and relationships to build cathedrals. And so, Dr. Francis, girl, I am so proud of you. You are extraordinary. I present to you an imaginator extraordinary, Dr. Aisha Francis.
Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology is 114 years old, with a historical line that goes directly back to Benjamin Franklin himself. The investiture of a college president establishes a milestone in an institution's history while also marking a new era. Today's investiture in Dr. Francis, the first woman and the first person of color to head BFCIT, has historical significance. And given the vision Dr. Francis has already put into action, today's investiture surely also marks a new era for Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology. Dr. Francis, will you please come forward? By the authority of the Board of Trustees and the enthusiastic approval of the faculty, staff, and students, alumni, and those who have joined us here tonight, I present to you your keeping the charter of Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology. Dr. Francis, I also present to you the medallion that symbolizes the high office you now hold, and I invest you with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities of the office of president. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it is my pleasure to recognize the President of Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology, Dr. Aisha Francis.
Thank you all so much. I had practiced, being here, standing here, because those of you who know me know I am really, really, really famous for waterworks. And I was doing so well until that song. I was doing so well. But thank you all so much for being here. To my parents, Mommy, Daddy, and my brother, and to my husband, Clayton, my children, Macy, and Christopher. Mommy loves you. I'm so grateful to be here and to be standing before you. I deeply appreciate all of those who are watching from afar. So to my family in Cleveland and Nashville, Atlanta, and Florida, all of my peeps in California and other places, hi. Thank you all for sending me love and sunshine when it's been cold here. I've always felt like I've had wind beneath my wings, and my friends and family are a huge part of that. So I really relish the opportunity to be the leader of Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology, the 13th president. I'm so proud to stand before you with that title officially bestowed. And I am very, very proud to lead a group of scholars, faculty, and staff who have chosen this institution. Everybody knows people have a lot of choice these days. So people could be anywhere. And the fact that I get to lead a team of people who are helping to make some of the things that you heard about tonight happen is a privilege, and I don't take it lightly. But it does have a certain ring to it to be the president. So under typical circumstances, this installation would have happened months ago, and I would have talked to you all about, what I learned on my 90-day listening tour and dreams and things that I had set forth for the college. But as it stands, we're really 18 months into our strategic planning process, which is not the process, but the plan itself, which is future forward. And you've heard about some of the things that we're most proud of. We in total, over the past 18 months, have raised $20 million. Yes, anchored by the Bill and Joyce Cummings gift. Thank you, Bill, for being here. And we're moving to Roxbury, folks, in case you haven't heard. And we're not just declaring it so. It's important to declare things, but we are actually doing it, right? So, with thanks for the state and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for an investment of brownfield remediation funds, we have started our demolition. Our permitting will be completed by the end of this month. We're moving forward. It's an exciting time. And we've been in the news for good things. And you can chart our progress in print, and I really can't imagine a better way to really tell the story than through the press, which, since we were founded, by the most, I think, memorable printmaker internationally, Benjamin Franklin himself. And so I'm glad that you can chart our shift over the past year, especially through the press. It's important. As someone who spends a lot of time charting genealogy and looking in newspapers and historical archives for stories of my family, I am so proud to know that the story of this institution from 2020, during my tenure, will be a good one. And so, since this isn't a traditional installation, I decided to take as my theme, reflecting on the past to create a bold future, and really answer a question that people ask me mostly privately, which is, why did you take this job? Honestly, people ask me that. And I usually say, why not? I don't usually have time to go into it, but I'm gonna take my time now. Yeah. So these pictures, I hope that I'm cueing a photo or side-by-side picture of two people I'm going to talk a bit about today as inspiration for why I'm here, honestly. One is Benjamin Franklin, the founding father that you've heard about tonight. And the other is my great-great-aunt, Georgia Overton Cash Frierson. Are you all seeing that picture? Is it up? Awesome. So for you all back here, I'll just send it to you later. Okay. But trust me, it's there. So first, Benjamin Franklin, the founding father to whom we owe the existence of this institution. And I want to take some time to actually just uncover a bit for all of us what exactly he was investing in, because he was a forward thinker. Pastor Gloria talked about cathedral builder. He had a long-term 200-year vision. And so I'm just going to read from the codicil of his will. This is 1790, a bit. I have considered that among artisans, good apprentices are most likely to make good citizens. And having myself been bred to a manual art of printmaking in my native town, and afterwards assisted to set up my business in Philadelphia by kind loans of money from two friends there, which was the foundation of my fortune, and because I wish to be useful even after my death, if possible, informing and advancing other young men that may be serviceable to their country. To this end, I give 1,000 pounds to the inhabitants of the town of Boston for the uses, intents, and purposes herein after mentioned and declared. That's what it says. And so what were those purposes? Now, I'm not going to read all of that, but I'm going to tell you what they were. The purposes were initially a revolving loan fund. Money could be lent out at the interest rate of 5% in the amounts of 15 to 60 pounds per person, but to whom and for what? To married men, in parentheses white, just being real, under the age of 25, who had already served an apprenticeship in Boston and had completed their time of indenture, who could get two Bostonians to write letters of recommendation to vouch for their character, and who promised that the intent that they were going to use the money for was to build their business Shagun. For entrepreneurship. Why? For self-sufficiency, right? That was, and what was his goal? What was his purpose? Altruism. Purely altruism. He literally wrote that he hoped 200 years later that his investment would have been found to have good effect. I believe we have been found to have good effect. We have so much to crow about. 57% of our students are first-generation college students. Most of our students are people who never saw themselves necessarily in college. We are a place of opportunity. And even though the people who attend Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology, by and large, don't look like the type of person that Benjamin Franklin envisioned benefiting from those funds, I think that we and what we are doing is the perfect affectation of what he intended. And that's why we will continue to make hard choices and really deepen our commitment to eliminating the gaps in performance based on household income, gender, or ethnicity, these arbitrary things, right, in ways that we categorize ourselves. And what I appreciate most about the legacy of Benjamin Franklin is the way in which it inspires people to come to us, to think about their own altruism. And now to my Aunt Georgia, another animating historic figure. Although you don't know anything about her, you will. A second source of inspiration for me, so some of you all also know that I love genealogy. I'm from Nashville on my mom's side and from the Dominican Republic on daddy's side. And the thing is, I was raised in this multi-generational household and community. And I knew my great-grandmother, and I would listen to her and was never shooed away. And I took all of those things that I learned and heard and sometimes would write down on index cards as a teenager. And I've been with the New England Genealogical Society and my own just research from graduate school, diving into these figures of my past. And recently, the picture that you see here of Aunt Georgia is actually one that I've inherited. So it was my great-grandmother's picture, and she just said, this is Aunt Georgia and her husband Thomas, and Aunt Georgia was a teacher. That's all she shared. So I knew those things and have been looking her up, and then I found that in 1914, she was a principal of a little school in Nashville called the Rock Hill School, segregated school. Wonderful, lovely, great story. Kept looking, and then I saw a little clip of actually someone else's death certificate. And it said that she was a superintendent, but it didn't say of what. I was like, oh, superintendent, I want to know, she was leading things. What was she doing? And then very recently, as in last Friday, 7 days ago, I received this file that verified that she wasn't just a superintendent of something. She was actually, her title is the Superintendent of Industrial Education for what was then called the Negro School Division of Davidson County Schools. So let me just break this down. She ran voc tech education for the entire county. And she held that role from 1936 to 1943. Depression times, tough times. She oversaw 37 schools, 35 schools, and 2 high schools. And for my Nashvillians, those high schools, Pearl and Haynes. All my family went to Pearl and Haynes. In the next slide you see is an example of a weekly report that she had to submit to what would then have been, a Jeff Riley type. Seriously, every week. And these reports detail her life. It's like a journal, but it was for work. She worked 7 days a week. I've only made it through year one. I've only made it through 1936. So, in my copious time last week, I couldn't get through the other 200 pages. But what I've learned just from that is that she was remarkable. Her weekly reports covered 4 areas: the schools visited, work tasks emphasized among the teachers under her supervision, the meetings held and attended, and funds raised. Cannot make this up. Every week she reported on these things. It sounds like a board agenda meeting, for the board meetings that I'm running now. And I am not an advocate of workaholism, but sometimes people, Kevin, it's like, you make me tired just looking at you. And I don't mean to work in that way. It doesn't feel like work, right? It just feels like the things that you need to do. And I'm looking at her daily catalog, and I'm like, I work like her. So she really didn't take much time off. She logged her Sunday activities even. Most of the time it would say at church, period, and then visiting. So she would spend her Sundays visiting the bereaved and the ill teachers or the students in her communities who had fallen on hard times. She crisscrossed the county and the state, actually. She attended professional development conferences at Tennessee State University and Tuskegee and places in Clarksville. Amari, that Clarksville is for you. But it's really true. This stuff is in her reports. And she stated that her favorite subjects were sewing for the girls and woodworking for the boys. These regular reports have sections detailing her fundraising prowess. What was she raising money for? For school buildings, for book funds, for renovations. What types of renovations? Electrification and plumbing, because the schools needed it. The funds raised, where did they come from? They came from the individuals in the community. Otter Creek, Lake Providence. I'm saying this more for the people on the other side of that live stream. Goodlettsville. Places that we know today, if you're from Nashville, and are still there. So the people in those communities, the Black people in those communities who were attending the segregated schools, she raised money from nationally known philanthropists like Julius Rosenwald, and she raised money from the state and from the federal government, because the WPA was in the midst of a once-in-a-lifetime investment in the infrastructure of education. And today, we are living in the midst of a once-in-a-lifetime investment in the infrastructure of our nation and in the infrastructure of education. She managed WPA funds. She managed the distribution of those funds across the 37 schools that she oversaw, just like we are actively managing ARPA and her funds today in the wake of COVID relief legislation. I'm just so moved by the fact that my life is very much like Aunt Georgia's. Aunt Georgia was born in 1917, might have been 1914, and no, 1914 is when she was the principal, excuse me, y'all. I want to get this right. Aunt Georgia was born in 1872, to her parents Hiram and Evelyn, who were enslaved on a plantation that's called Traveler's Rest, that's still there in Nashville. It's maintained actively as a historic site and a place where you can have a wedding if you would like. She was their sixth child, the third born after emancipation. And Hiram is considered the patriarch of our family, but this really isn't Hiram's story. I just wanted to at least mention their names. This is really about the connection between history and life and what happens when you're living out your purpose, because I did not know these things about her until 7 days ago. The last thing I'll just tell you in terms of parallels about Aunt Georgia is that she had these external affairs goals that she would write down. And among them were to establish community partnerships with the YMCA and the Red Cross, and to set up PTAs at all 37s of her schools with what we now call KPIs, of making sure that there were at least 10 families, 10 active families in each school. So much of what she did is what I'm doing today. She and the teachers in her charge maintained a clothing closet. I don't know, Jackie and Sally and the student affairs folks, a clothing closet for shoes and clothes, because the fact that students didn't have that was contributing to high absenteeism. And where did most of that money come from? It mostly came from the teachers themselves. So I'm saying all that to say that I was so moved by the parallels. And then the more I thought about it, the more I also became frustrated. Why is it that 86 years later, I feel like I could have written her reports? Why is it that I'm running a minority-serving institution and Aunt Georgia was navigating segregated schools, and so much of what she shared is similar? It's too close to home, really. So she was talking about Davidson County, some areas rural, some urban, and I'm talking about Greater Boston. She was talking about 1936, and we're working in 2022. We have work to do. So back to the beginning of why am I here and why did I take this job? I'm here because I have a vested interest in helping to dismantle systemic inequities. I'm here because reading these reports from 1936 should not sound like my board meetings from 2022. But they do, and yet I do have optimism that we can change that reality. It's incumbent upon us to do so. And we need to ensure that the Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of tomorrow lives up to the ideals that Benjamin Franklin himself imagined to have an even greater effect, and that it's much more equitable than Benjamin Franklin could have ever envisioned. And so I'm going to spend and have been spending most of my time gathering the resources we need to do that. That's the focus of my tenure. It must be so. I believe you understand why. Aunt Georgia understood why, and that was in 1936. We need all of us working together to really chart the course forward, for future forward, for the Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology. So I draw my inspiration both from Benjamin Franklin and from my family, from great-great-aunt Georgia to the other people who I haven't uncovered yet, but I'm coming for them. I'm gonna uncover them. And so I'll just leave you with some leadership lessons that are much closer to the present from my parents and my grandparents, both sets, to know who you are and whose you are. From Dr. Sheila Smith McCoy, who is another advisor at Vanderbilt. Pastor Gloria mentioned Cecilia Teschi, but my dissertation advisor was Sheila Smith McCoy, who's become a lifelong friend, and she taught me to never accept the limitations that others place on you. When I entered graduate school, there were 13 of us in my cohort, and after the first year, we were down to 11. And then as time went on, 8 and 7, and finally there were 6. And I remember there being this sense among the faculty that, another one was leaving. And sometimes people would talk to me and say, it's okay if you stop this and get on with your life. I said, no, but this is my life. This is what I'm called to do. I want to do this. I want to get my PhD. And Sheila never did that. Not only did she say, you can do this, she said she would help me. And I'm so affirmed by the fact that the faculty and staff at Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute do that now. They instill in the students who are here the fact that they can do it, and they will help them. From Norman Stein, who hired me at Boston Medical Center and is responsible for bringing me to Boston in August of 2005, he took a chance on someone who had a newly minted PhD and told him, for whatever reason, I didn't want to use it in a traditional way. I learned not to let perfect be the enemy of good. Norman started up the fundraising effort at BMC from, 500K to however many millions they raised before he retired. And I try to recall this, I really do, when I have that last urge to tweak something else. Jackie, wherever you are, was telling me today, this afternoon, I hope you're not making too many more changes to the text. I really do think about that. From Sandy Sadaka and Ariadne Balsamas at the JFK Library and Foundation, I learned the power of ruthless recognition. And it's important to know that we choose to go to the moon. This one's from John F. Kennedy himself, not because it's easy, but because it is hard. We are living in a moment right now. For this institution, we have this moonshot moment. We have a moonshot moment. We're going to take it. We won't squander it. Our move from the South End to Roxbury is our moonshot opportunity. And from Ed Hundred, my leadership Sherpa at Harvard Medical School, where I was before I became chief of staff here, I've learned how to build and nurture coalitions as if my very success depends on it, because it does. I also saw firsthand, and I didn't know it would come in handy, that it is possible to revise an entire curriculum, undergo significant renovations of a very old building, and complete a reaccreditation process all in the same year. Because he did it. And because I had seen it happen, I believed we could do it here too. And we're doing it. And so now you know just how inspired I am by the past to walk into a more emboldened future. And so when you hear me out and about and people are asking, why did I take this job? If I say, why not, you all will know the full why. But we have work to do. We know what the assignment is, and I invite you to join me in leading by example, in learning from the past. And even when, or I should say especially when times get tough, I know that together we'll find a way or make one.
I think we have one thing backwards tonight, and that is everyone congratulating Dr. Francis. I think we should be congratulating ourselves. Will you pray with me? God of Franklin, Carnegie, and Cummings, God of philanthropy and entrepreneurship, of invention and innovation, of technology and industry, we truly give thanks for the glorious experience we've shared this evening. We give thanks that the 13th president of this evolving school, this adapting and adjusting school, has galvanized and inspired a new vision. May the family who loves her, the colleagues who support her, and the community that needs her make her strong and good and brave for the hard work ahead. Grant to her such eloquence and virtue, wisdom and ingenuity, patience and persistence, boldness and frankness, as to bring our shining vision to reality. We pray, O God, your blessing upon Dr. Francis's administration, upon these excellent and committed faculty, upon a skilled and devoted staff, upon eager students and caring trustees. And may we who are gathered this evening in a spirit of unity and common cause, each find ways to support President Francis by our willingness to make personal sacrifices to advance the mission, each putting our own oar in the water, each pulling hard, that all together we might propel this old school into new waters for a new day. And may the great ruler of all high places, God of many names, touch us with a wind that keeps us strong for all the days to come. And let the people say amen.
Amen.
Wow. What an incredible evening. This concludes the installation of President Dr. Aisha Francis in the inaugural ceremonies of Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology. Please join us in the lobby for a reception and the opportunity for you to share your congratulations with Dr. Francis personally. Thank you.
Disappointment was my closest friend, but then you came and it soon